So we bought the property and the barn was in complete disrepair. Looked like it was going to fall apart. But from day one, we felt that it was a big part of what the entire farm was about. It wasn't just the house, the barn was a huge part of the history of what's gone on here at the farm. And so from day one, we wanted to save the barn, but from day one, we had no idea what that meant. And so it took us pretty much almost 2 years to figure out what we needed to do with the barn.
We had purchased in May of 2013, and that June there was a historic barn tour taking place in Saucon Valley, which isn't too far from here. The organization is called the Historic Barn and Farm Federation of Pennsylvania, and I signed up for the tour. We toured 11 barns in 2 days, and as part of the tour, there were two really well-known historians, Greg Huber and Robert Ensminger. They each rode with the participants in a bus from barn to barn, and while you were traveling from one barn to the next, they had a microphone and they would tell you all the history of what you were about to see. And then when you got to the barn, you got to walk through and inspect and see what people had done. And my husband was also doing his own research and found about maybe, would you say, 8 to 10 different contractors who did this sort of work. And it took us about 2 years to interview and do site visits, and that's how we ended up finding Stable Hollow, and they really matched our vision.
One of the really cool things with Stable Hollow is how practical they were with so many different things that they did. You know, we had been in this barn, and the whole side here basically had no barnwood. It was open to the elements, but when you came into the barn, you had these incredible views of the Appalachian Trail and the mountains there and the pond that was down. And so when they got the structure back up and the roof on, and then we're getting ready to side everything, I'm like, wait a second, there's not going to be any light in this building. We're not going to have those views. And so they came up with the ideas of, we always wanted windows in here so that there was light. But they came up with a way to build natural wood windows that look like they would have been in a barn, you know, so they're not vinyl, they don't slide, they basically go up and down, and it's as simple as a little piece of wood that you prop up in the groove that keeps the window open. So just how they were so practical in those approaches, and coming up with the idea of basically having the double set of the large barn doors that gave us those expansive views back out to the Appalachian Trail, and also gives us ventilation in and out of the building. They also repurposed everything. Any piece of wood that we used, they cut them down to put in these different railings that we had, the railing up above the granary, as well as a railing, you know, when you look out over into the barnyard. How they were able to repurpose all the wood. We bought all these old, at flea markets and garage sales, old hinges and pieces of metal and hooks, and how they repurposed all them, and they look like they all were always here. Even though they're all different, they did an incredible job with that as well. And the other thing that they were spectacular with was their stone. When you look at how they were able to match the areas of the foundation that didn't exist, that had been worn away, that stones were missing. If you look outside now, unless it's Gina or I who know where they reconstructed those walls, you wouldn't know. And what they did in creating the barnyard back, using the main wall, but then also building where the retaining wall for the forebay was, and building the pizza oven and the fireplace, and as well the grill in that old world style with that incredible stone that's all natural to this property. And so for all of that, we're so glad that we chose Stable Hollow.
We were really happy that we found Stable Hollow in that they were able to accomplish. It's kind of like a dream, really. You know, if you've driven past it in 2010, 2011, 2012, when the roof was really starting to sag, and you just think, oh gosh, like one snowstorm, I'm going to come by and the whole building's just going to be gone. And there are many people who live, and I'll just run into people randomly in the area. I'll say, oh, you're the ones that fixed up that farm. Oh, thank God you saved the barn. And it's just people are passionate about it because it's probably one of the oldest structures that's still standing in Cherry Valley. We wouldn't have been able to do it without Stable Hollow having the matching our vision and enthusiasm for the project.